Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw and I'm joined by my good friend. He is one half of the On Seagal podcast. I'm the other half, my good friend, Mr. Trevor Gumbel.
Greetings. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. This is the first time that you and I have done a podcast together in quite some time. January, I think, for both of us would be a pain in the ass of a month. I think that's putting it mildly for both of us. But we're here now. It's February, and you're here with me to kick off the first film of Noir Month, or Noiruary. I don't know. We're just going to call it Noir Month. I'm not really a noir guy. It's kind of one of my blind spots with cinema, so it's one of yours as well, so that's good to know. This month was actually programmed by my good friend and frequent guest on the Culturecast, Cullen Gallager. So he actually programmed this entire month, and later in the month you'll actually get to hear him on, and we'll get to talk about what decisions went into programming the month. But until then, we are going to be talking about the first film for Noirvember. Noiruary, I don't know. Noir Month, The Sound...
Noir Hog Day.
Noir Hog Day. It's a good one. Of Noir Hog Day, The Sound of Fury. So, The Sound of Fury was released in 1950. It is directed by Cy Enfield. It stars Frank Lovejoy, Kathleen Ryan, Richard Carlson, and a very young, no-glue-sniffing Lloyd Bridges. I mean, we had to bring it up at some point because I would assume both of us, for the most part, our exposure to Lloyd Bridges is in a comedic spin, as opposed to this film where he plays a legitimate psychotic human being. And the film follows Frank Lovejoy as Howard Tyler, a man who loses his job and falls out of luck with a local charismatic hoodlum named Jerry Slocum, played by Lloyd Bridges. They kill a rich man, and things go awry from there in a direction that I actually wasn't expecting. So, my good friend, Mr. Gumbel, was this the first time you'd seen this film? If it was, what did you think? And if it wasn't, what was the first time you'd seen this film?
No, this was the first time I'd seen the film, and it was quite interesting. I mean, compared to other noir films, it's definitely... It definitely seems to have a message attached to it. Noir films are pretty seemed to be pretty cut and dry mystery wise, with no blurring of the line between good and bad. This one seems to have more of a kind of a it's hard to say, maybe a liberal bent, I guess I could say.
Yeah, I would agree to some extent. And we'll, when we get to that scene, we'll talk about it. But yeah, the film definitely leans in one direction.
It's definitely prescient to the times, but I thought it was very good. Lloyd Bridges
was great.
Yeah, he's every time he's on screen, he makes the most of it. The lead was very sympathetic and emphasis on pathetic. Yeah, it's a very different kind of noir than I think people are used to.
So, like yourself, this is my first time, sitting down to watch the film. Like you mentioned, it is very different from what I would consider to be noir, or I guess what assume noir is. I mean, my expectations going into this film were completely dashed within the first about 20 minutes when I realized this is not going to be the kind of film that I'm expecting, which is nothing wrong with that, because frankly, again, this film really subverted my expectations in a lot of ways, especially with, like you've already kind of mentioned, how it approaches the subject material. I mean, we can't stress enough, there's a lot of history surrounding this film. This is the first time on the podcast we're going to be talking about a film that was directed by someone who was named a communist by the House Un-American Activities Committee, and Cy Enfield was actually blacklisted, and he left the United States in 1953, 3 years after this movie came out, to go to the UK, where he lived for the rest of his life. So this is a first in a lot of ways for the podcast, but to your point, Trevor, the thing about this film is it feels like a film that could have been made today.
Exactly.
The subject material and the way that it handles it, I think, is very interesting, and it speaks to a lot of things that are going on right now. Class divides. The justice system maybe not working the way it's supposed to.
Mob mentality.
Yeah. Mob mentality is a huge thing, given what we saw, less than a month ago now in our nation's capital. For those Americans listening and those who aren't Americans, it was horrifying, I can guarantee you. And I'm speaking for Trevor and I, because I know for a fact Trevor doesn't have a different opinion than I do.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, we're both proud Americans here, and proud Americans don't storm the nation's capital.
No.
But I will tell you, like you said, Trevor, there is a lot in this movie that's going on that made me think of stuff that happened just recently, and I don't think Cullen intended, when he programmed this month, for this first film to be so prescient in its subject matter, but it ended up kind of working out that way.
Yeah.
But long answer to kind of a short question, I really like this movie. I feel like the ending is a little slapped together, a little hapdash. It kind of just ends. But other than that, I think it's a really interesting film. It
is. It's a very interesting film. It definitely is a relatable film. It's definitely a film that, you're right, could be made today and still have the same message. It deals with, a man down on his luck, desperate for work, and that's what's happening today. Millions and millions of people are on the unemployment line, desperate for any scrap of work they can get. And it kind of asks you, what lengths would you go to support your family?
Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like you said, the Howard, one half of this crime duo, that the Howard Tyler character, like you said, what is the lengths he's willing to go to support his family? And well, the length that this character is willing to go to is he falls in with Lloyd Bridges' Jerry Slocum, who is a dastardly bastard of a character. I mean, he's a bastard.
He is.
Yeah, he treats women poorly. He, is a thief, an unrepentant thief. He murders a man in cold blood just because. you know, and there's this yin and yang sensibility to the characters of Howard and Jerry that are so interesting that, again, you don't really, you know, at least in a lot of the noir films that I've seen, there's not a lot of sympathetic leads, especially ones like Howard Tyler in this film, because Frank Lovejoy brings such a, like you said, he's a pathetic character.
Yeah.
He brings such an empathetic, you know, spin to the character that you truly feel for this guy. And this guy is, you know, falls in with the wrong crowd, and just that one time happens to be the worst time to fall in with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting idea because you just don't see a lot of sympathetic characters in this genre.
They're usually played more kind of hard-boiled, masculine kind of types.
Like Jerry Slocum.
Mm-hmm. And another interesting thing about the Jerry Slocum, it would have been so easy for the film to have him get caught up in this crime spree that he goes on with Jerry, but he's never comfortable with it. He's never he never becomes complacent in what he's doing. He's always thinking, you know what, this is not, you know, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing this. And he, you know,
I mean, he even writes a note saying he didn't do it and saying that he regrets what he did and, you know, that this is what he deserves. And, you know, the other thing we haven't mentioned yet, and I know we're going to talk about it, you know, even more as we kind of get farther down the road in this episode, the involvement of the media.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even bring this up at the top of the episode, but, you know, he writes this note, you know, Frank Lovejoy's character writes this note, essentially distancing himself from this crime that him and Lloyd Bridges commit. And again, it's pretty much just Lloyd Bridges killing this guy. I mean, Lloyd Bridges is the only one who kills him.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's still an accessory to it because he's there and he watches him do it and he doesn't stop him. So, you know, he writes this note essentially saying, you know, hey, my wife, forget about me. You know, I was there. I'm part of this. Whether or not you want to believe it, I'm part of this, and I deserve whatever's coming to me. And, you know, he's very
repentant.
Yeah, he really is. And then you have the character of the journalist, Gil Stanton, played by Richard Carlson, who has been whipping these people into a frenzy about how these, you know, men need to die and how the justice system's going to fail. And, one of them may walk free. And, you know, he's utilizing his position in the media to change the way the public's opinion is and push the public in a direction that ends up becoming a lynch mob, a literal lynch mob, where they brutally lynch these two men who are, I mean...
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, The Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
You know, you see them commit the crime on screen, so you know that they're guilty. But again, that's not the point. And it's interesting because, again, the way the film approaches the media is not in a sympathetic light.
No.
The way the film approaches the justice system, I think, is in a more sympathetic light, but it still calls into question, you know, the justice system, I think, at large.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to unpack here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, on one hand, I mean, the journalist wants to sell papers. He wants to, you know, get noticed. But on the other hand, I think he wants to be taken seriously. And I think he figures the way to do that is to be kind of this hard-nosed, truth-telling, you know, rebel of the media. You know, he thinks he's this like outcast. You know, he's like not like all the other journalists. He wants to get to the truth, and you know, no matter who gets hurt. And
he gets what he wants in the end, ultimately.
Yeah, but to what cost?
Well, I mean, the cost is 2 people die, and I mean that's what that's what the sheriff says. The sheriff essentially says, like, "Are you happy? Did is this what you wanted?"
Yeah.
Like, you know, look at your this is what happens when your tactics, you know, come to fruition. This is it. I mean,
well, he's even warned before this happens that the words have power, and you know, it's. I mean, there's a psychologist character in the film who repeatedly warns him about what he writes and how he writes it and what he's coming across when he writes it, telling him, you know, sometimes this can be dangerous. You know, you could get someone hurt.
And I like that character because that character doesn't feel like he's from this movie.
No, he feels like he's from a different movie. I'm like, I kept thinking, like, it's kind of random for a journalist to be hanging out with a psychologist. And
unless he's literally there to provide a counter argument, which is all he's there for. I mean, he's not even really a character. You know, Renzo Sassano plays this Dr. Simone character, and he's not a character. He's literally just there to be a counterpoint to any time Gil Stanton's talking about something.
Well, and plus he always takes him with him to the scene of the crime when he has to write about it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure any journalist would do that. I mean, I can understand maybe a policeman bringing a psychiatrist or something to the scene of a crime to analyze something, but not a reporter. But I mean, he did offer a nice countermeasure to the line of thinking that the journalist was on in the film.
Well, and you know, when you look at these 2 characters of the doctor and the journalist, you know, like you said, like this journalist is sitting here whipping people up into a frenzy, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, you know. No, right now with what's going on in our country, they know what they're doing. They're not
Of course
stupid.
They do.
They're not stupid. And how do I know they're not stupid? Because if they were stupid, they wouldn't have gotten to the platform that they have now.
Exactly.
And that's the thing with this character in the film. You know, the character of Gil Stanton wants to pretend like he's not complicit, wants to pretend like he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's like, that's not how this works. You need to be held accountable for what you do. There's no 2 ways about it.
No, he wants to play the "I was just doing my job" card.
Right. And you can do your job. And it's not about, you know, doing your job has its theoretical boundaries to it.
Yeah.
And it has a spot where you have to ask yourself whether or not, you know, you can do this legally, sure, but should you be held morally accountable for it? And when you have a lynch mob outside of a police station whipped into a frenzy by a journalist, I would say that, you know, you've lost your ability to have the moral high ground. And that's the thing that, you know, the character obviously realizes when it's too late, and he tries to make amends with the Howard Tyler character at the end. You know, he tells him, you know, tell my story and, you know, tell my wife, take care of my wife. And it's like, this is, you know, great and all that you're doing this, but ultimately you're still the one who caused this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we should mention that this film was based on a book that was in itself based on a true story.
Yeah. Yeah, so that the true story took place in 1933 in San Jose, California, and the incident is sometimes called the last lynching in California. Which, I mean, that again, if this is being based off of a true story, obviously, there were, when that happened, there were warning signs then that this was going to happen. And that's the issue that I have with this movie, is that it does too good of a job of showing how this could happen. Do you know what I mean? It's too accurate for its own good. And, I'm being facetious in saying that's a problem. It's a good thing, because in the film, you watch the police essentially step aside and let them go through the police station. I mean, at some point, they know they can't stop them, so they don't try to. And I can't imagine where we've seen that recently.
No, not at all.
Yeah, right. But again, in this film, just like in the real life incident, there were warning signs days ahead of when the final lynching, when the final event happened, that there were people who were angry and that there were going to be people mobilizing to do these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And in this film, when you watch it, in the scene where the two characters are lynched, even if Lloyd Bridge's character is a bastard, which he is.
Oh yeah.
It's still a brutal fucking scene.
It's definitely not pulling any punches, no pun intended. You don't actually see them getting lynched per se, but I mean, it leaves nothing to the imagination of what's going to happen to them. Because there's a crowd of hundreds outside the courthouse building, and they basically run them out on a rail, and Lloyd's Jerry, his reaction is not one of fear, but one of defiance. Kind of the come and get me mentality, kind of he wants to fight till the very end, which I think more to the point kind of solidifies his character as kind of batshit insane.
Totally reprehensible.
He is reprehensible. Very.
I mean, the film's, secondary title of Try and Get Me is a rallying cry that Lloyd Bridges' character is screaming in the jail cell while he's grabbing the bars and twisting himself and contorting himself on him like he's going fucking crazy, like he's being electrocuted with 10,000 volts.
Yeah,
and he's just moving and shaking and screaming and yelling and going nuts.
I mean, he is crazy.
Yeah, he's terrifying.
But in the first couple scenes, he's actually semi-charming. I mean, that very quickly fades away. But in the first couple of scenes, when we first meet Jerry at the bar/bowling alley, you can kind of see how he could charm him into doing this. Because, I mean, he shows him this kind of comfortable life he's got, the nice suit he's wearing, the room he has, the food he eats, all that kind of stuff. It kind of, in a way, kind of shows that money just isn't, in the grand scheme of things, not worth it for what he sacrificed. And
it shows that it's just a mask. It really is just a mask for this, person who is verifiably insane.
Well,
he's keeping up. I mean, he's just keeping up appearances.
There's a lot of scenes where you see him throwing money around, like at the diner or with those two women that they go on the double date with. He's kind of throwing money like it's nothing, and you kind of think, yeah. I mean, what's it worth, Because, a man's life has been taken. And, I mean, I don't blame Howard for what happened. I don't blame, because wouldn't the guilt get to you as well?
Well, I mean, that's the question, right? I mean, there's part of me that would like to believe that if the tie pin the lapel pin hadn't been found, I think he would have been okay with getting away with it.
Really?
Like that's like the final breaking point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something was going to break him eventually, But I mean, what if that never comes? What if he just gets away with it? I mean, he could. I doubt it. I mean, I would like to agree with you that the character, as he's written on screen, I think eventually has some sort of mental break from what happened.
Well, you even see that visually.
I mean, of course. Yeah, but I mean, of course he would like to get away with it, as they both would, but I think he would less like to have never been taken part in a man being beaten to death.
Well, because this is a good man who got caught up in a bad situation.
Yeah, I would not say of no fault of his own.
No, I mean he's obviously complicit, but he's a man of certain morals. Like, he signed up to just be the driver for robberies. He didn't sign up to be a co-conspirator in a murder. I mean, even when they first kidnap the guy, he doesn't think they're going to actually kill him. He thinks it's just going to be a run-of-the-mill ransom. We get paid, we give him back, on to the next heist. But I mean, they kill him within an hour of kidnapping him, and you don't usually see that in movies. It's usually a while before the kidnappers even get to that point. But then again, Lloyd's Jerry is fucking insane.
Yeah, they escalated real quickly.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Yeah, exactly.
They went from armed robbery to kidnapping a wealthy man.
Yeah, I think it's his son, actually. I believe. The son of a wealthy man. I'm not sure. I think it's the son of a wealthy man, because that's why they asked for the money, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just basing that on the true story that it's based on.
Sure. It's weird. It's weird to me that they make such a big deal out of that scene where Howard is at the mailbox mailing the letter.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they make such a big deal out of that scene. It ends up not coming back to factor in.
Not really.
It feels like this weird, like, comedic respite in the middle of this, like, very dark film.
Yeah, it's like, was it supposed to add tension? Because it didn't. It was more like...
I guess, like, I don't know. Like, it's one of the few parts of this movie that I don't understand. And that's one of them. And then I don't understand the decision to not to throw us into the deep end with the scene where Howard comes clean, because you have him coming clean to the woman that he meets.
Yeah.
And then, like, it cuts to the cops, like, just showing up. And he, like, stumbles out of the house. And, like, I didn't understand it. It felt like such a bizarre framing device. And it felt unnecessarily complicated for whatever reason.
Like, did she call the cops?
I that's what it says. It says that she flees and goes to the police.
Yeah.
But the film doesn't tell you that. And again, I think we could all infer. But it was just like, it was a weird way to have that scene transition and progress.
Exactly.
Because it felt like there was a scene that was missing in between the scene where the cops show up and the scene where he's, like, admitting to her.
It goes from the scene where he's at the woman's apartment, breaking down and just basically kind of losing it, straight back to his house. His house. Well, is it like an apartment complex?
It's his house because it's his wife that comes with the cops.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, because it cuts away to his wife first, and his wife, like, sees the cops running off. Yeah. And then, it's super... It's a weird decision. I don't understand it. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't affect my ability to appreciate and enjoy this film.
No, not at all.
But for such a climactic part of the film, it leaves me wanting a little bit. But
yeah. I mean, it definitely was. I don't know. Maybe it was more there to get the wife's reaction more than
it would have to be it, right?
Than to get the husband's arrest.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of the film or kind of change my mind about how I feel about the film. It was more just kind of a curious pacing or editing decision. But I mean, can we talk about the wife character?
What about the wife character?
Yeah, there's not much to her, is there?
Well, I mean, there's not much to any of the female characters in the film, frankly.
Well,
I mean, they exist to be plot. They exist to be plot devices.
That's one complaint I have, is they're all played very melodramatically.
Yeah.
Especially that woman. I don't know. Is it supposed to be like a side piece for him or something? But the way she plays it is just very too over the top melodramatic for the film. And his wife at times goes that route. I mean, like I said, it didn't take me out of the film or anything. It's just something I noticed. And the kid who plays his son, God, it seems like all he did was whine. It's like, I want to go to a baseball game. Oh, I want to watch the end of the movie.
I just don't understand, like, why it was important to show his family, because they don't add anything.
I mean, all it adds is showing that he's a family man. But
my point is, like, that's it, right? Like, there's nothing else.
It really could have shown more of a toll that it took on a family. Because right. It seems his wife. I mean, granted, she doesn't know what he's doing, but she kind of just accepts the lie pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you mean well, and then she not only accepts the lie, but then she comes up with a counter lie to the lie.
Yeah. I mean, he comes home at 6 a.m. in the morning because he drops that woman off and then goes home. Wait, hold on. That's another thing did he go home before he came back to that woman's house?
I didn't understand. Yeah, that whole, again, that factors back into this weird admission of guilt scene. I forgot about that too. He just shows back up. It's and was he driving around for an interminable amount of time?
Yeah, that confused me. It's oh, is he home? I mean, no, that's the same woman. What is he doing there now? Oy, okay. I guess we're here then. Are there scenes missing?
Well, and that's, I mean, again, you have this character who goes away for a unknown amount of time, comes back, and then all of a sudden he's admitting what he did. And it's like there's a weird flow to those scenes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a huge fan of doing something like that and then it not having a specific payoff.
Yeah.
I thought that there was going to be something, more important than happened with it. Obviously, nothing did happen.
Did you notice the bookend of the film? The bookends of the film? It starts off with a street preacher, and doesn't it end with the street preacher or something like that?
Well, and the street preacher's screaming about, the wicked and how the wicked are punished.
Yeah, and I think, doesn't that kind of go into the film?
Yeah, it's
basically like opens. Crime and punishment.
Yeah, that's how the film opens, and then look, it's very heavy-handed that obviously if you have a character doing some sort of preaching sermon in the opening of your film, it's going to relate to what's going on in the film in some form or fashion, be it directly or some sort of associated quote or homily about what's going on in the film or foreshadowing. Yeah. So
it did kind of force the okay, we get it. There's bad people.
It's a little heavy-handed. I mean, look, the film is pretty heavy-handed, I think, in general, but I also think with this subject material, it's okay to be heavy-handed. I mean, maybe don't overdo it, but I mean, again, you have a character who's a journalist who's writing these things, so you're following the journalist. Mm-hmm. You have another character who's a doctor who is, psychoanalyzing the situation. The film is insanely heavy-handed, but it works in spite of that in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any way to argue that this film's not heavy-handed because it is insanely heavy-handed.
Oh, incredibly heavy-handed. I mean, it's when I say it's a liberal bias, it really is, because the journalist even talks at the end like he's asking for mercy for Lloyd Bridge's character, when in every single other film, Lloyd's character would have been a remorseless killer. Well, he is. He's a remorseless killer, but they wouldn't ask you for sympathy. And I was thinking to myself, wait, you're even asking me to sympathize with Jerry, the killer, the psychopath, and you're asking me to not root for the crowd to just kick the shit out of him. And I guess that's the point of the film, is that it makes you kind of put yourself in the situation of, would you be part of that crowd?
No. No. And, that's the thing. Look, a lot of us have asked ourselves that question about real life things. And, where, that's the thing, you see at the end of the film, he says, we're not going to let them forget that they did this.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, not to bleed this into real life, but you're seeing that now.
Yeah.
And that the people in real life and the people in the film both had what they would believe to be righteous intentions,
mm-hmm.
and those righteous intentions weren't so righteous in so many ways. And this film makes the point, and I think I 100% agree, as I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you do something like this, say going into a police station and hauling a man out to be hung, in the town square, you need to be held accountable for your actions. Do I think what they did to Jerry Slocum's character is right or wrong? That's not the question. Morality is not, morality and legality are often not interminably, they're not always linked together.
Mm-hmm.
They can be, but they don't necessarily have to be. And, my opinion on what happened to him aside, they broke the law and they have to stand, and face the punishment of their crimes. And I think that, like you said, this film takes a pretty heavy-handed stance on that, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear in its feelings and stances on what I would consider to be a hot-button issue, because vigilantism kind of bleeds a little bit into capital punishment in a way, because, if you don't feel like the system's working for you and it's not going to give the person who's being punished the kind of punishment you believe they deserve, the only other option is vigilantism.
Well,
and so it's interesting that this film kind of not only addresses that topic, but also has it comes down in one camp. It doesn't toe the line.
Well, there are times where there are movies where vigilantism is seen as like something to root for and something that an audience can really get behind, like the Death Wish films or the Punisher films, or something like that, where you kind of root for the character to get the bad guys and get what's coming to them. But this film asks you more to take a step back and think to yourself, why is that more just than letting them get their day in court? And it's a good question, because I enjoy films like Death Wish and The Punisher and stuff like things like that, but there are times where you have to stop and think, why is this better than letting the justice system run its course? And there are consequences to taking the law into your own hands. And even though this film doesn't necessarily show the consequences, it implies there are consequences, because it ends very abruptly. It ends with them hauling them out of the courthouse and cuts to credits.
Yeah, you don't get to see it.
No.
Which is okay. I think that's okay. I think
that would have been too much, I think, if they'd shown it.
Well, yeah, the end,
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Like I mentioned at the top of this, I think the ending of the film is a tad abrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that abruptness works. You have that scene where they say, hey, look, we're not going to let them, get away with this. We're going to make them remember what happened. And that's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important because what's the point of making sure that the people who do these things are punished? It's so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because if nobody gets punished, then people continue to do it. And you know what doesn't happen in this country very often anymore, Trevor?
What's that?
People being lynched out of prisons.
Yeah. I mean, the only time you really hear about lynchings is when it has to do with racist
hate crimes,
cocksuckers.
Hate crimes.
Yeah.
It's only hate crimes.
Yeah, you don't hear about it when it comes to vigilantes of justice, like crowds wanting to, because in the past 71 years since this movie was released, there have been so many killers, so many people worse than those two, and you don't really hear about the mob showing up at the courthouse wanting to run them out on a rail and take law into their own hands. It's mostly, you mostly just watch on television and hope for the justice system to work. There's a line in the film during the mob scene where a lady says, "We're just going to save the taxpayers some money and do it ourselves," or something like that. You remember that line?
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that's a very conservative right-wing line of thinking, which is what goes back.
It's a very utilitarian way of looking at it, as opposed to, it's a human being in a prison, and that human being does still have rights.
Exactly. And it goes back to the film having a very left liberal bias. Not that that's a good or a bad thing. It's just a kind of an observation I had. And I think that's probably one of the reasons it got brought up. The director got brought up by the HUAC. They felt it was probably too pink for their liking, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not saying that prisoners are all bad and they all need to be murdered in prison, that's not very American, is it, Trevor?
No.
Doesn't sound very American to me.
It's fuck rational thinking. Think with your emotions, Fuck. I mean, I think, didn't Lloyd Bridges get brought up too?
Yes, so Lloyd Bridges was also blacklisted.
But he got unlisted because he named names, I think. I read something like that.
He was a member of the Actors Laboratory Theater,
which was known for communist ties.
Yeah.
I guess.
Which in and of itself is fucking insane. All of this is fucking insane. Can we talk about how fucking insane it is that there were things in this country that were, modern day witch hunts that were taking place as recently as 80 years ago? Like, get the fuck.
I mean, it was Joe McCarthy showing what a big dick he has.
Yeah. Or a little dick in his case.
Well, true. I mean, he was compensating for something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was bringing people to the HUAC's trials, wasting millions and millions of taxpayer money for something that led nowhere. It went nowhere.
Money.
It went nowhere.
Like you said, wasting taxpayer money, though.
Yeah.
That's all they care about is taxpayers, but yet they're okay with wasting taxpayer money.
Yeah. I mean,
weird.
But what happened with it? What came of it? Nothing.
It's looked upon as a stain on this country.
It is a stain on the country.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible as a it's an
analogy for what was happening.
Exactly. And
I do want to say though, everything that the film addresses aside, can we talk about how good Lloyd fucking Bridges is?
Oh, he's amazing.
But
he's incredible.
I did not know how good Lloyd Bridges was until I saw this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that he was good at being in Hot Shots and in Airplane.
Yeah.
But similarly to Leslie Nielsen, this man has a career long before he's being used in 80s comedies because it's subverting the expectation of the kind of role that he's in.
And he is terrific.
Oh, yeah. He's real good.
Well, just within the span of the 10 minutes of the first time you meet him, he goes from charming to a real bastard, like that. He just on a dime. And it's believable, You believe it because he's so fucking good in this movie. You want to see more of Lloyd Bridges' character, but I think there's enough Lloyd Bridges. There's not too much. There's not too little. I mean, it gets the character across pretty well. I mean,
well, it's one of those characters that relies on being used very sparingly because if he were on screen a lot, it would be way too much.
It would be kind of almost comical, It's like, okay,
well, I mean, that's why you don't have Hannibal Lecter on screen a lot. I mean, you have a lot of the classic menacing villains, unhinged villains aren't on screen a lot because less is more. And this character is a perfect example of that.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah, I mean, he's crazy. He's absolutely
a real bastard.
Insane.
He treats women like shit.
Murders a man in cold blood for literally nothing.
Literal, no reason. There's no motive for him to kill him.
Yeah, because they were trying to get money for his ransom, and he just kills him instead.
Yeah, which goes to show how not well thought out this plan was in Lloyd Bridges' head. He didn't think about the consequences of leaving the fucking car there for the worker to find. I mean, really? Sloppy job.
Yeah, it's an interesting performance. It's an interesting performance because because like you said, I mean, there is this like air of professionalism to this character. He dresses super nice in these nice suits and he throws around money like crazy. But yeah, then he gets caught for the most mundane of reasons because their car. The car that they were using was out in the open, and oh, by the way, his partner ratted him out. But you would also think that he would know better than to get involved with someone who's a fucking family man who can't hack it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had any other small-time actual 2-bit criminal with you, Lloyd Bridges, you would have never gotten caught because your actual partner wouldn't have ratted you out.
But he equated desperation with loyalty.
Yeah.
He thought this man is so desperate, there's no way he's going to crack. He needs the money. He's going to do anything for it. And
no, that's not the case.
No, it goes back to emotional thinking versus rational thinking. The lead's emotional thinking got him into this mess when he should have sat down and thought about it. But he was that desperate to support his family, Well,
again, this just goes back to how far would you go? And, I can't sit here and say that going that far to support your family isn't worth doing when, your family could be harmed.
Mm-hmm.
Your family could starve. But I mean, again, this is what happens when you fall in with these kind of folks.
Mm-hmm.
You end up getting lynch mobbed out of the police station in front of everyone in the world to see. So
yeah, with the cops letting zero to little to no resistance.
Of course,
I mean, they were out strengthened by a fire hose.
Oh, I mean, again, save them money, save them time and effort.
Sure.
So, what would you give the film out of 5, Trevor?
I give it a 4.
Yeah, I would give it a 4 as well. It's really good. It's a very good film. It is a film worth watching. There are some problems, but I don't think they're, they don't detract from the movie so much that I would say don't watch it.
No, not at all. I mean, it's definitely a film that is more about emotion than visceral entertainment.
And it's not what I was expecting when we sat down to watch a noir film.
No,
that's for sure.
Well, when you think about noir, you think about like the Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade. A dame walks into my office. She's got legs up to whatever. You don't think about films like this.
I mean, the trope in this film is the kind of victim of circumstance / law-abiding citizen lured into a life of crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a mix. It's kind of a mix of that. Yeah, it doesn't have what I would consider to be the usual tropes, but it still has them. I think it just has the ones that like I have seen less of and associate less of those films with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's a good one. It's a really good one. I suggest listeners check it out.
So on that note, let's play a preview for the next Kulturecast of Noir Month. That's right. On the next Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about Night Falls. It is a Spanish language film, and it's another noir movie, and I can't wait to watch it because I have not seen it. So I am going to be talking about that one on the next episode. Until then, where can people find you, Trevor?
You can find me on Twitter at Case Neuromancer, Instagram at Mad Vertigo, and you can also find me on the On Seagal podcast with yours truly.
And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Christmas Claus. That's where I'm at. If you want to find me, go there. Kulturecast.com is where you can find more episodes, Patreon.com/Kulturecast is where you can go kick a couple dollars our way, get some bonus content. Hey, it's only $1. And if you give $5, you get to pick a movie that we get to watch. So that's fun if that's a thing you want to do. Until then, big thanks as always to Tiger Blood Jewel for the music for the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.